Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTGO Traders. My name is Taryn, and I have a question for you. Is Magic the Gathering Online worth it? Now, when I say worth it, I'm not talking about the $10 fee you pay to get the account on the platform. Of course that's worth it. MTGO doesn't have a subscription fee, so having to pay a $10 application fee for the actual app itself or to have an account on the app, I think that's fine. What I'm saying is Magic the Gathering Online worth investing into and playing at this current time, especially with the onset of MTG Arena? And short answer, absolutely. Long answer, let's get right into it. The cost. Alright, I want to knock this out of the way first, as I feel like this is the main reason most of you have stayed away from MTGO as a whole. The cost of playing Magic the Gathering Online. Once you download the client and log in with your account that you paid the $10 for, you'll be greeted with a few cards that they give you for free to get started on and have a few items to start on learning how to play the software online. After that, you have a lot of ways to play MTGO. You can start drafting, deck building, and playing in leagues, tournament practice, and so on. That also goes for nearly every format too. But to play in a constructed format, you need actual cards. Cards that make a competitive deck. So how do you acquire them? Well, you have options in buying packs, Planeswalker decks, and singles from an online seller. You can purchase packs and Planeswalker decks from the store on MTGO, and this is one thing that I do not recommend you do. The reason? Those cost the same amount as paper cards, and opening them would most certainly mean you lose money. Also, a benefit to drafting and winning 2-1 or 3-0 on MTGO will net you packs of the new set anyway, so save your tickets. By the way, for those of you new, tickets are the currency system in the game. One ticket equals to about $1 US, though that can fluctuate a bit. So if I don't recommend buying packs or decks from the MTGO store, then how do I acquire new cards? If you love to draft, competing in the leagues for drafting will net you the cards you pulled to build your own deck. And like I said, you get packs if you do well in your 3 matches. Drafting on MTGO is usually 12 tickets, and that's almost always cheaper than playing at your local game store. It also won't take your entire day, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The other way is to hunt for cards on the trade tab in MTGO, which is a bit difficult to navigate. Or, and here comes the hashtag sponsored plug ad, use sites like MTGO Traders, which is a super convenient way to build your deck, order it, and have a bot or human deliver it to your account, usually within minutes of ordering it. If you like building your deck in a deck builder like I do, just hit buy from MTGO Traders, and it takes you to the list of the deck you want to buy, tells you if everything is in stock or not, then you hit buy, and boom, you got it. Super simple. The cost of the cards online itself will almost always be cheaper than the paper cards. However, that kind of gets closer to parity when you're talking about the standard format where the demand is higher. And there's also this weird thing like the stock of a card on MTGO being lower thanks to weird reasons like treasure chests or just reprint issues, things like that. Let's do some comparisons. A modern 5-color humans deck in paper Magic is about $1,027 right now. How about an MTGO? Okay, so that's about 171 tickets. Gotcha. Almost a third of the price. Okay, so here's another. Modern Grixis Shadow. Arguably one of, if not the most popular decks in Modern at the moment. It's a whopping $1,216 in paper, and in MTGO, it's about 598 tickets. So, about half. Nice. Now, the counter argument to this is always, quote, well, yeah, but that's paper versus digital. You get an actual physical product when buying the paper version. And yeah, that's true. However, I present to you my counter argument. I live in a town with few local game stores. None of them are doing events until the weekend, so I only get to play Magic on Fridays or Saturdays, and maybe on Sundays when there's a pre-release. I've also walked into stores that were only one format or another thanks to the size of the player pool, so you're either forced to adapt or just not play at all. It's a sad but true reality of local game stores. Now, I'm sure your local game store has events every night in every format, and everyone brings 6 decks to the store to be prepared for that, right? What I'm saying is, the upside to having a digital product is simple. You can play wherever and whenever you want. Have a favorite deck in Modern? Get it, then just bust out as many matches as you want on tournament practice for free, or take it into a league for 12 tickets and see if you can get that coveted 5-0. What I'm saying is that for those of you, like me, that do not have a local game store doing stuff every single day and really enjoy Magic as your habit to wind down after getting off school or work, it's a great platform. So yeah, the price of admission and the amount you spend on cards makes MTGO, to me, worth it. But that's just the pricing stuff. Let's move on to the game types of the game. How do you play Magic Online? The second point of Magic the Gathering Online that I really enjoy can be boiled down into one word. Diversity. Like Standard, it's got it. Modern, Pauper, Commander 1v1, Multiplayer Commander, Vintage, Legacy, done and done. What if I just want to play with banned cards against a friend? It can do that too. The opportunity to play formats you're unfamiliar with in a safe, controlled environment is here, and I kind of welcome that. It's also a great way to test a deck before purchasing a physical copy for a Grand Prix or game day or whatever. Think about that. And also consider this. To play at a local game store regularly, it's most likely going to cost you between $5 to $10 per trip, and that's not counting gas, food if you buy it, and the time spent playing slow, hour-long matches. Magic Online can get a single match done in under 30 to 40 minutes, maybe even faster. There's a timer that's actively counting down on each player's side, pushing them to play faster and make high-level decisions more quickly. A lot of pros play online to get in as many matches as possible under as little time as possible. Then they take that deck to a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour event and do their best, knowing that they spent ample time with the deck, the matchups, and of course do the best they possibly can. There's also online drafting, phantom drafting, and flashback drafts along with the cubes. Drafting in paper for a lot of local game stores is time consuming, literally takes all day for one draft, and can be exhausting. Drafts on MTGO takes, I would say, what, maybe 2.5 hours if you play casually? Personally, time is very important to me, and I appreciate it not taking my entire day. Well, what if I told you that you could actively start building your deck while you're drafting your deck on MTGO? Then you can jump into a match immediately after you finish your first match and get on to match 2. That's my point, being able to not have to sit around and wait. Also, for those of you wondering what Phantom means, all Phantom means is that you don't get to keep the cards after the league is over, but the price is usually cheaper to enter. Flashback drafts means that MTGO hosts events centered around an old block like Innistrad or Ravnica. The ability to play with these cards you grew up with in a sealed or draft environment is one of my favorite ways to play MTGO, honestly. But I think that's about it. I might be missing something from the game types, but for real, Magic Online is honestly the best place to play whatever format you want to play, whenever you want to play it, and so in that way, it's totally worth it. And next, I kind of want to talk about Magic Online from a learning perspective. One of the things I really enjoy about Magic the Gathering Online is how it makes you a better player just by playing the game. I'm sure this situation has happened to all of you. You're new when you go to a local game store to play F&M or something and sit across a table from a seasoned player. They scry and draw cards or cast spells at the beginning of their turn before they've even drawn their card. Wait, is that legal? No one ever told me this before. This is confusing. I don't understand. Well, here's one of the things I think is lost on players at local game stores versus Magic Online: your level of instruction. I feel that teaching a player how to play Magic at a local game store can be difficult, slow, and as a new player, you feel bad when you miss triggers, activations, and parts of a turn where you could have turned around your match against another human player. There's also no identifiable way to tell where your opponent is during their turn. It's also hard to follow a player sometimes when they don't say anything at all during a match, or announce when they're going into combat and all that kind of stuff. The stack, upkeep triggers, and beginning of combat triggers. I think these are the hardest thing to grasp as a new player. And sure, practice makes perfect in paper Magic, and sure, the get good argument does stand true. But one thing that I love about MTGO is that priority bar. It tells you exactly where you're at during each of your turns and during your opponent's turns. This teaches you that your land's untapped before you draw a card, it teaches you how passing priority works during combat, and so many other things. I truly feel that this alone makes MTGO a purchase for you if you want to be a better player, and have a more well-rounded understanding of how priority and parts of a turn work. And of course, if you already know all this stuff, there's keyboard shortcuts to skip through all of that. But playing MTGO means that when you play paper at your local game store, you're going to have a much firmer grasp on how turns work and how things operate. I know the counter argument to this is just have a good teacher at a local game store, but not everybody is going to have a guru at their local game store to help them through everything. It's just not possible. That's why I think MTGO is great for that. Another thing that MTGO gets you in the habit of is brewing. Every card you can think of is at your fingertips, and all you have to do is spin a few tickets to get them. Maybe even fractions of tickets. This means that brewing a deck and swapping cards out in between matches is super easy and intuitive. In paper Magic, if you don't have that card already, you have to ask your friend if they have it, and if they don't, ask your local game store. And if they don't, you have to order it from an online seller and wait a few days to even play with it. You could also crack a pack, but no one wants to do that. And of course, this is where proxies come in. But if you're testing a deck days before a tournament or game day, not having a card in hand makes it basically impossible to play that card in your deck. On Magic Online, if you don't have it, grab like 4 copies on MTGO Traders for like, I don't know, 0.5 tickets, check out, and you're good to go. It makes brewing decks very fast. It means that if you do brew, you'll likely build up a sizable collection almost as an afterthought, meaning you'll have less need to hunt for cards after the first few weeks of a format. And lastly, here's a big question for everybody looking to get into Magic Online: the future of the actual program. Does WotC want to replace MTGO with Magic Arena? Again, the short answer with this is no, absolutely not. And the long answer is this: time and effort. Magic the Gathering Online has been up since 2002. That's 16 years of Magic Online. That's 16 years of honing the card game, building the card pool, and building a program that can handle the hundreds of thousands to millions of small interactions on a single platform. The reason they can never replace the format is for this reason alone. It would take so long that they might as well just keep MTGO. Now that may seem like a cop-out, but seriously, when you have cards in MTGO starting back from like 7th edition and Alliances to now on a single platform, you have a numbers problem. It would be basically impossible to move that program to a newer program without WotC spending years on it. And I'm sure they've tried. But this is also the reason that we have games like Duel of the Planeswalkers and Arena in the first place. They always have to have a start point and move forward. Since MTGO has so many sets, reprogramming that many interactions in a new app might just be too costly. So that's where Arena comes in. And what is Arena, you might ask? Well, besides being an obvious visual Hearthstone ripoff, it's trying to be what I can only describe as a hybrid between Hearthstone and Duel of the Planeswalkers. The UI is nice, I guess. It's a bit stiff to me personally, though it does look nicer than MTGO. The card pool is only Ixalan moving forward, and the biggest factor to knowing that MTG Arena is not replacing MTGO is a simple fact: online trading. WotC opting to take their trading card game down to the route of collectible card game instead, where you can't trade your cards with anyone on the platform. This completely defeats the point of building a specific deck or testing specific decks, and in so doing, removes competitive players off the platform. Arena seems to be built for the casual market. They seemingly don't even have a decent priority bar on the screen just yet, which is like 80% of the reason I got into MTGO to get better. There are also a bunch of issues like wildcards and all that, and I won't get into that here. But what I will say is if you're waiting to get into Magic Online because you think Arena is going to replace it, forget about that. WotC wants to make money, so they said, why not both? Moving on to my final thoughts here. This video makes MTGO seem like a golden paradise, and while yes, there are a lot of things to like about MTGO, I mean it's literally Magic Online, there are small things to gripe about it. Trading in the trade tab is convoluted and confusing, the UI is a bit dated feeling. However, I will say I do kind of like how clear it is, knowing what's happening on the board state at all times. I do think the collection tab is a bit of a mess even with the filter options. There are numerous bugs whenever a new set comes out that needs to be worked through, and of course they do work through it, but it does take a day or so. Midweek downtime is kind of frustrating for me as a content creator, but going down the middle of a day on a Wednesday might not be a big deal for you. And another gripe is that it's a PC game only, meaning it doesn't work on a Mac or a tablet. I can kind of deal with that. Besides those small gripes, I honestly do love MTGO. It's the best way to play Magic ever. I would almost say it's better than playing paper Magic, but at least there you can't misclick. It's Magic for people who don't like going to FNM, or it's Magic for people who like to hone their skills and learn how to play and draft more effectively. Basically, Magic Online is here to help speed you up from a player that's kind of understanding the game to a player that's a real pro at it. I love Magic and I love Magic Online, and I do think it's worth it. Thanks for watching, folks. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, of course, if you liked it, and don't forget to share this around. There are so many players out there that don't even know MTGO exists. Spread the word. Alright, I'm out. I recommend checking out the other videos on the channel if you like deck techs and gameplay videos. Thank you so much for watching this. Peace.